This is the spot where the California gold rush started. Right here where I'm standing.
Good morning, everybody. Doug Berry here. Welcome to the Sierra region of California and Nevada. Today we have a special mission. It's a road trip up to the Mother Lode country and also Sacramento to get my Ukrainian friend, Tanya, something that she needs to work out and feel a little bit better and get her exercise program rolling. That's her hula hoop that's here in Nevada. So we're gonna run her hula hoop up there for Tanya. So this is Operation Hula Hoop. It should be fun.
Welcome to California. Carson Pass is open. It's really pleasant down here by the river. It's not too cold and it's not too warm. Perfect. This is the Carson River Canyon. Still some massive snow drifts up here. Here we go. There she is. She's finally got her hula hoop. That's Tanya, everybody. Isn't she pretty? Oh my goodness. And right by the rose, look at this rose bush they have over here. Goodness. So you said it has smells too? Fragrant. Oh man, look at this. We got to get a shot of you right next to the roses. Look at this pretty Ukrainian lady. Oh my goodness. And she's going to be even more svelte when she starts using that hula hoop. Tanya and I, believe it or not, she is like my sister and I'm like her brother. Who would imagine that somebody from Nevada and California would be a close friend with somebody all the way from the Ukraine? And she's a very good person. She's the nurses say that she's a good nurse, but she needs to get all her credentials in California and stuff. So anyway, do you have anything to say, Tanya?
I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad to see you like your videos on YouTube all the time. So good job. I'm like feel wonderful because I try to tell you like start videos on YouTube, and I'm glad you start this and enjoy your life. You see many places and make a video. Always happy guy. I love you. Like brother.
So Tanya might be leaving California for Texas, and she likes Corpus Christi area the best because of the beaches and stuff. So I guess I'll have to visit you in Corpus Christi, Texas, right, Tanya?
Yes, when I buy the house, yes, welcome. More than welcome. Yes, of course.
Tanya's son, Oleg, is an artist, and he's always doing different projects and drawings and things. And look at this, his latest one of his mom. Isn't that neat? Of course, she didn't want to take her glasses off because she wanted to match up with the picture. Hey, Oleg, your mom wants to tell you something.
Oh, I love you, my son, so much. I miss you so much. You're the best baby ever. And I want you blessed forever with everything, and angel with you. And I love you. Mm-hmm.
Hello everybody, Doug Berry here. I guess it's story time, and this last trip I was on the road for 4 days. Just got back last night, and I went from Hawthorne, Nevada, all the way up to the Mother Lode country, Placerville area, Sacramento, and Sutter Creek, and then I came back through Lake Tahoe and Bridgeport, California. So I've got quite a few videos coming out. I just had it's kind of story time right now, and I'm actually, I think I consider myself a humble person, and I don't want to polish my ego in any way to come off being proud, but I do want to share something about my trip up to Coloma. And I know I'm not a proud person, I know I'm a humble person, because when I was in the service, I was in the Navy on a ship for 5 years, and we were in Hawaii at one time, right across from the Arizona Memorial, and they said, Seaman Barry, your presence is requested on the quarterdeck by Commander Bekeart. Okay, Commander Bekeart is the direct descendant I'm related to from the Bekearts that ran and owned the gun shop in Coloma, California. And I met him, and he was a very personable, likable fellow. He invited me over to his home in Hawaii, and I just know I'm a humble person because I thought to myself, I said, I can't accept this invitation because all my shipmates and people that I work with are going to look at me and like thinking that I'm better than them or something like that. And I'm one of the guys, and I didn't want to do that. So, but looking back, I should have gone because I would pull into Hawaii quite frequently, and he was a very nice gentleman, naval officer, and that was Commander Bekeart, and of course he's since passed away. So I regret that in life.
But I have a few photos too of the family and some interesting background on that too, because it's so strange. Life is so strange and unpredictable because where I live in Hawthorne, there's a mountain called Mount Grant. And believe it or not, I'm related to the person that mountain's named after. And I'll show you a little tidbit on that. And then, of all things, the ship that I was on, the USS Horn, most all the parts that are left of it are just a half a mile away, located at the Ordnance Museum in Hawthorne. It's so, you just can't make this stuff up. But anyway, I've got a few pictures I'll show you of the family members of the Bekearts, of the people that I'm related to, had the gun store and were involved in the California gold rush up in Coloma. Like I said before, I consider myself a humble person, but I thought you all might find this fascinating. I found these historical photographs. There were many more, but I just grabbed a few that were up in the attic, which were all going to be thrown away and go into the dumpster. And I recognized that there was something there, and I decided to grab these. So this is a picture of Edward McLean Grant, and he is I'm related to him. He's would be my great grandfather on my mother's side, and he's related to, yes, the same man that Mount Grant here in Nevada is named after, and that was the commanding general of the Union Army during the Civil War in 1865. He was also the Secretary of War and the 18th President of the United States of America, and that was Ulysses S. Grant. Now, I also have a lot of relatives that were on the Confederate side also during the war. But here's a little plaque I thought was very romantic and cute, if you might want to say. Their 50th wedding anniversary with him and his wife, and it was held at 246 22nd Avenue in San Francisco, California. No gifts, please. And this was his wife. Here's some of her lineage, my lineage. That's Lucy Bekeart Grant, mother of Phyllis Grant Collins. That's who I'm related to, Phyllis Grant Collins. This is from San Francisco, 1935. Now she's from the San Joaquin Valley. There's a lot of Grants in the San Joaquin Valley of California. And she was born in Stockton, California, May 18th, 1879. And here's a picture of her. And here's a picture of her. And the only reason I know this is because my mother told me this once, and I remembered it. There's nothing on the back to signify who this is, but I know who it is. This is her with her sister, one of her sisters, on the beach in California. Isn't that cute and interesting? Welcome to Coloma, California. Hello everybody, I'm with Matthew from the California State Parks, and he's a little bit camera shy, but you know where I'm at right now? I'm in the old gun shop, the Bekeart's gun shop in Coloma, California. I'm a direct descendant of him. Anyway, so they're getting ready to close up. He's gonna give me a little private tour real quick. The artifacts left in the gun shop. It's kind of down to the bare bones here. Here's a few things. There's still a wood stove in here.
With the Bekeart's building, they actually lived back behind here.
Oh, over here in the back.
So there, an addition on the back came out, maybe about this far.
Right.
And the main front door to the house was right here.
Okay.
And then it extended back probably about in the vicinity where the panning tanks are.
Right.
Over
right.
there. And it was 2 stories.
Right.
The library has a bunch of photos
Right.
of when the addition was still
So my great-great-great-grandfather, Frank, he knew James Marshall,
Oh,
right?
I'm sure he did. Yeah,
Yeah, and they were like neighbors, and yeah.
Marshall lived in a number of places. He finally ended up living up the hillside here.
Right, right.
But I would imagine he lived here down by the mill for a while and wherever else. But
Yeah.
ultimately, up in his house is still standing.
Interesting
up
life
the
story,
hillside.
right?
Yeah.
California Gold Discovery Site was only 200 yards away
this way.
from the family gun shop. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You think that we actually probably built it?
Well, I think Frank Bekeart had something to do with building it, and when they finally, from the public domain subdivided the lots in town here,
Right.
I think Bekeart bought it and built the building.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, at least that's what I've read so far.
Right, right.
The Chinese come into it when the Chinese began to lease ground in the area when some of the other buildings were torn down.
Huh.
So if you look behind, you can see all these empty, all these old foundations and empty basements.
Right.
What happened was when the town started emptying out and kind of becoming a ghost town, and most of the activity moved down to Placerville.
What year was that about?
56, 57.
1857?
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. And then the landowners would tear the buildings down or pay the Chinese to tear them down, and then
Right.
and then the Chinese would lease the land. And
I have an interesting story to tell you.
Okay.
And the gentleman that's filming us right now, Matthew, he is a Chinese American. And this is a key to this story. So my mother used to wear a jade necklace with like a Chinese script on there. So I was taking a short story writing course at Butte Community College in Oroville. So I was looking for a topic for my short story. So I asked my mother, what's the deal with the jade necklace that you always wear? She said, let me tell you about the jade necklace. So since our family goes way back, even before California was a state, they were at actually a Presbyterian church where they had a mission of rescuing people. And what happened during the gold rush times, that a lot of people, there was a lot of people didn't want to associate with the Chinese that were working on the railroads or in the mines, right? And even the prostitutes didn't want to associate with them. So some criminals over in China abducted a bunch of young ladies, put them on a ship, and put them in the sex slave trade. So my family said, we're not having any of that stuff, right? So they went down to San Francisco and Chinatown, and they targeted one woman. They know that she was kidnapped for the sex trade, and they brought her in the safe house in San Francisco, and they had a whole thing where they would do laundry and different things to keep the ladies so they had an income, keep them out of danger. Anyway, the story goes that when that one lady that my family rescued, when she married one of the first wealthy Chinese American businessmen in San Francisco, and then she gave the jade necklace to my mother, and it's been in the family ever since. I think it's kind of pretty in this Coloma area. The gold was discovered in that bank over there, and then the gun shop is just right over here on the other side of the bridge. This is the spot where the California gold rush started, right here where I'm standing. So I'm with Karen, the librarian for the California State Parks Department, and she's looking for some information on my family's gun shop and the guns that they brought over from New York, about 400 pistols or more. She'll tell us more about it, but she even brought some things up here on the computer that shows the different family tree and everything. And she said, actually, I also have some relatives in the Roseville Cemetery, and one of them it's the oldest grave in the Roseville, California cemetery. I didn't even know that. So wonderful that Karen's going over and above the call of duty to try to find some information. But you can see all the different resource, old school books, all the different records and things here, and she's doing her best to find some more information.
I can find my keys.
Uh-huh.
People, and
All the people that lived in Coloma are in those files.
If not everybody.
Not
Some
everybody.
People were really good at avoiding the censuses. So sometimes if people come in and say they had family here, and we can't find them, it's because they managed to avoid a census, or they didn't buy land, or they didn't declare their ownership of the land because they didn't want to pay taxes.
Ah, tax evaders.
Yes, it was all alive and well all the way back then. Most of the original information on Frank Bekeart came from a schoolgirl who asked him to write down his memoirs. And that information was put in a letter to her, and on it he asked her to keep it safe because it might be useful one day. And he didn't know that he was telling the truth, because a few years later, in the 1906 earthquake and fire in San Francisco, a lot of the family papers were lost, including all of Frank Bekeart's diaries. So that letter that he wrote for her is where most of the information we have on the original information from Frank Bekeart.
Interesting, interesting. And where's the letter now?
I do not know. I'm assuming one of the family has it.
Right. I don't have it.
After he was in the war, he went back to New York and then started for California, taking a consigned stock of 200 Colt Patterson revolvers and 200 Allen Pepperbox revolvers from a gun dealer by the name of A.W. Spies in New York. And apparently he was offered a lot of land in San Francisco for one of the guns, and he laughed at them, was insulted. Should have taken it.
Yeah. So here's some of the medals that he earned in the Mexican-American War. So that's James Marshall's rifle. That's the man that discovered the gold. And then here's my relative's Bowie knife, Frank Jules Bekeart's knife. Interesting.
These are the original mill timbers. This is the first piece, and on it is written several names, including from the southwest corner of Sutter's Mill, and sent to Phil B. Bekeart in San Francisco.
So that's part of history right there.
Yep. Frank Bekeart's son and his grandson were very instrumental in the discovering of the original timbers of the sawmill that had washed away in the 1860s. In the 1920s, they found the original timbers, the piece we just saw, and there's a monument now indicating the spot where the original timbers were found.
There's a copy of the original piece of gold that was found that started the gold rush, but the original piece is in the Smithsonian Museum. And here's the original sign they used to hang up at the gun shop over there across the road. Frank Bekeart, gunsmith. Just think I could be in the gun business.
This is 3 generations of the Bekeart family, 1837 to 1949, and it was put together to celebrate the anniversary of the gunsmith business. So Jules Francois Bekeart, commonly known as Frank Bekeart,
Right.
was apprenticed to a gunsmith in 1837.
1837
And that would be back in New York.
in New York State.
And we know he came backwards and forwards. See, and this is actually signed by Phil Bekeart.
Wow.
So this is one of our rare books in that it's an
That's
original.
like my great-great-grandfather right there. That's amazing.
So that's Philip Kendall Bekeart. And he tells you the story about the young lady who wrote the book. So it talks about after his declining years, he was living with his youngest son, Phil B., in Alameda, and a young schoolgirl named Leslie Saul asked him for information on the subject of the discovery of gold in California because he wanted it for her schoolwork. And he gave her all the information, he wrote it all down. So that's where...
That's what you were talking about.
Yep.
Amazing.
And they said they're very deeply indebted to her, as are all our family possessions at home and our office were destroyed in the San Francisco earthquake and fire. And these are a couple of the revolvers that he brought out with him.
Right. I know that that the gun store had the Bekeart model 22 pistol, a later model, and I know that they had, I think, from Smith and Wesson. I think they had about, I want to say about 500 of those made. Anyway,
Probably know more about it.
small booklet that Karen was so generous to find, and it's not in print anymore, but it's all about Frank Bekeart, the Gold Rush gunsmith. And there's a picture of him again, right here with his military medals. I want to be real careful with this book.
It's going to be his muster roll.
That's his muster roll in the Mexican War. I think my hands are fairly clean.
Thanks, Peg, if you want.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay. Huh.
Shows you the
Oh,
medal
yeah.
in Sutter's Fort.
There's Sutter's Fort.
And a picture of Marshall.
James Marshall. Okay.
And one of the comments I liked that was attributed to Beckett was that he had some gold,
Right.
but I can't eat it.
Yeah. Didn't he like sell it or something immediately?
I think he just wanted food at that point.
Yeah. Huh.
It's just my dear family. It's Baldwin Beckett.
Okay. So Karen just showed me some gold that she found in the back here in the American River. So there's still gold to be found even today, and probably a lot more come this summer. It's kind of cool to study history when you know that your own family was involved in there and had a role to play. Makes it even more interesting. That's the old Coloma post office. There's the gun shop. And here's the bridge, the Coloma Bridge from 1915. Let's see, 12 tons, 24,000 pounds, 13 feet 6 inches. One vehicle at a time. There's the American River. Well, that was nice to see some family history in Coloma. We'll have to call it a day and trying to find a place to camp for the night. There's the old gun shop. Well, here's my little stealth campsite near Volcano, California. And I'm right here by this nice little creek. Sure there's gonna be plenty of mosquitoes, but I brought my mosquito netting for my bedroll, so I'll be all right. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna jump it. Oh, nice.